Azure VM Serial Console enables you to use an interactive shell in situations where you may be unable to connect to your VM. This makes it super easy to troubleshoot issues and diagnose your VM. Alfred Sin is here to show us how it works today on Azure Friday. Hey everyone, Donovan Brown here with another episode of Azure Friday. So Alfred, talk to me about this Serial Console.
Sure thing. So the reason why we created this whole Serial Console was actually for VM supportability. So that's the whole story here is supportability on your VM.
Okay.
We noticed that the most popular support tickets that we would receive over in Azure relating to VMs relates to can't RDP or can't SSH to my VM. And in a lot of those situations, the solution is actually relatively simple. It's just a matter of getting that level of interactivity with the VM to fix something that might be a little bit messed up, like IP tables, your firewall rules, an FS tab configuration, something like that. So that's where Serial Console comes in, is how it works is we take the serial input and output. So a lot of operating systems send input and output to the serial port, and we just take that and bring that out to our customers, who can then access the VM through a separate channel that's not dependent on network configuration.
Awesome. So just recently, this happened to me to where we got I had to lock down all of my VMs, and we put on such strict firewall rules that we literally get stopped 22, so I couldn't SSH. So I could have used this to still get to that machine even though my firewall was blocking my access.
Exactly, yeah.
Got it.
So
okay, cool.
If you accidentally block off port 22 and you get rejected when you SSH, this will still work. Serial Console is still going to work.
All right, very cool. And so besides me making a mistake with my firewall, there are other scenarios to where you can't reach your machine even when all your firewall's set up. So what are some of those scenarios where you might not be able to access your machine anymore? Absolutely.
So one such scenario would be, let's say you're a sysadmin or something similar, and you're running a bunch of scripts on one of your VMs, and unknown to you, there's something in the script that accidentally changes your FS tab. So you run the script, it finishes, and then you reboot your VM.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you notice that you can't SSH to it. So that's a situation that we've sort of set up here. Is you'll notice for this VM in the Azure Portal, you can still see that it started. It's okay, it's running, status is running. So let's try to SSH to it. This IP address. And we're getting connection refused.
Got it.
So at this point, what you might be tempted to do is delete your instance and restart it again and recreate it, which is a lot of work. But Azure has a Serial Console now, which is what we're here to talk about today. So let's drop into it. So I've got it opened up in a new tab because it takes a couple seconds to load up.
Okay.
So we'll save that little bit of time here. And we notice in the Serial Console that you are now in emergency mode here, which means that when this machine was booting up, it noticed something wrong and it tried to fix it, didn't really work out, and it dropped you into this emergency mode.
I see. Yeah, so this right now, without this technology, there is simply no way to fix this.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
I mean, it's impossible to run up to your little data center somewhere and just plug in a cable, right? You can't do that in the cloud. So this is the next best thing, which is the best thing.
Got it.
So let's have a look. Let's check out our FS tab.
All right, so you just typed a lot of words I never understood there. So VM is the scariest editor I've ever used because I know I can figure out how to exit. But what is this FS tab stuff? Because I'm a Windows guy and I have no idea what that is.
Sure thing. So this is the file system table, and all it is a file describing how things are mounted, where things are mounted, and then what usually happens is a lot of customers come along and they accidentally change something here unknowingly. Like this is quite common. People do this a lot of the time. And if we look at this FS tab in particular, you'll see that there's this strange entry down here with a UUID of 1, and it's supposed to have a mount point of foo, which doesn't exist.
All right, got it.
So let's just delete this line and then exit out of our editor here. And then we'll just go reboot it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so what we believe we've done is we've been able to diagnose what the problem was. I can even see the bootloader here coming up.
Yep.
And now I'm able to go ahead and reboot the machine, and hopefully with my table fixed, I can now SSH like I did before.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So side note, this is Grub, Grand Unified Bootloader, and you would not see this in SSH. Like when you SSH to a machine, you're already at the point it's well past. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So this is another thing that Serial Console allows you to do.
Wow.
If you really want to, you can edit your boot config. You can go into here, change stuff up. If you really want to get that low level. In our case, I think we're reasonably confident that editing that FS tab has fixed our problem. So let's just drop into Ubuntu.
So does that level of granularity that you just got to, like actually connecting to the machine before it's even booted, does that work also on the Windows side?
It does.
So I can look at the diagnostics, go into my BIOS, all that kind of crazy stuff.
You can do the same on the Windows. We've
awesome.
got Serial Console enabled for Windows, and I'll show that right after we're done with the Linux.
Awesome.
But you might also be wondering, hey, this is an Ubuntu VM. Does this work on other Linux distros? And the answer is yes. We've got Serial Console enabled on all other Linux distros running in Azure. So if you want this on your RHEL VM, if you want this on your Debian, CentOS, exactly, gotcha. Yeah, it'll work.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's
wow, yeah, it was funny because the other day, I didn't know it was a firewall issue until I did a lot of diagnostics. And what would have been nice is being able to drop into here and at least confirm that, no, Donovan, the VM is ready, it's rocking
totally
and rolling.
Yep.
Like, it's not an issue with the VM, it's an issue with accessing the VM. And that would have helped me troubleshoot really quickly, I was literally just in the dark, panicking, called some friends, and we finally realized that, oh yeah, you've clearly blocked 22, and that's why you can't get in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is really cool.
This is the cause of a lot of our support tickets too. So this will help alleviate a lot of grief.
Awesome. Awesome.
So now our VM's booted up. So let's try connecting to it again, and you'll notice that boom, we're in. So it was that FS tab problem that prevented the whole connection from happening. So now this is working. Now we're good. One last thing on this Linux VM, we've also added extra troubleshooting capabilities here. So if your VM is stuck to the point where you can't even interact with it in a serial console, like it's hung, something's totally wrong with it, you can still send NMI, a non-maskable interrupt, or a system request, or also known as a sysrec. So I'll use a sysrec for this Linux VM.
Oh, so this is like a 3-finger salute.
Exactly, yeah. Just like what you have on the keyboards, you can just
Control-Alt-Delete or whatever it is.
Exactly, like the Linux version of that.
Gotcha.
And we've got extensive coverage in our docs about all the key commands, key combos that you can send. I will just send this one, good old rysub. All this does is a graceful reboot.
Oh, okay.
So it'll kill all the tasks, and then it'll reboot your VM, and then here we go.
Here we are again.
We're back in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's our Linux VM. So let's move on to the Windows VM.
Yes, where I feel like a man again, because I have no idea what you were talking about.
No worries. So we've got Windows Server 2016. I've actually got it RDP'd as well.
Okay.
So I've got this all open. I've got our network interface showing. So another issue, in addition to misconfigured file system, we've got a super common network misconfiguration. So sometimes people will accidentally disconnect their network interface cards, something that, again, similar to your port 22 issue, like that's exactly what might happen here. So to simulate that, let's do this. If I can type.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm disabling Ethernet 2.
Yeah.
So let's click enter, and now all of a sudden, because I've disabled that, I'm typing.
And nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening, yeah, exactly. Let's try to move it around. Nothing's happening. So this session is dead. And again, if you were just using this without a serial console, you would say, whoops, time to contact support and run through those hoops.
Gotcha.
Instead, we have serial console. So let's drop into a command channel here. This initially shows up as the special administration console, and this is a gateway to the command channel.
Okay.
So
even over the serial, you're still required to authenticate before you jump into that particular machine.
Yes, exactly.
Right. But I don't remember you doing that on the Linux side.
So on the Linux side,
started,
yeah, that was already started. So
but you did the same thing there. So you do have to auth against the machine to prove that you have permissions to be on that machine.
Yeah, so the level of access that you must have is contributor level access. You must have that on the VM, and you must have that on the boot diagnostics, which are required to run serial console.
Perfect.
And all those details, they're all in our docs.
Great.
If we want to look at them.
So we're going to run the same command in reverse to re-enable that.
So let's have a look. We've got Ethernet 2 here, disconnected, disabled, however you want to call it. It is not working.
Right.
So Ethernet 2, and let's enable that.
Okay.
And now we can
wait for the reconnect. Yeah, it's going to try again here in just a second and see what's going to happen. So I've done this visually, graphically. Like you right click on your network icon, you go and accidentally disable something. Yeah. You would be in that situation.
Exactly.
And then now I can go back and enable it because now we're back.
And now we're back.
Yep. Cool. And it's actually working because you're able to type, so it's clearly working here as well. All right. Cool.
There we go.
This is really good to know.
Yeah. So let's go back to the serial console here, and some people, if they don't prefer to use CMD, they're probably asking, "Where's my PowerShell?"
I love PowerShell.
Exactly. So we've actually got PowerShell enabled. You can
Nice.
drop yourself into a PowerShell. And let's just do a quick little reboot, because there's something else I want to show you.
Okay, cool.
One more thing. So this will kick us out of PowerShell, then this will kick us out of CMD.
Because it's actually rebooting the machine and it's closing down
Exactly,
everything.
yeah.
Gotcha, and we're back at SAC at the beginning.
Yeah.
So now we have to wait for it. Actually, you don't necessarily have to wait for it to reboot because, exactly, I'm going to be able to see.
Here we go. Yeah. So this is the Windows Boot Manager. So you remember I just showed you grub on the Linux side. Exact same thing on the Windows side. So you've got Boot Manager enabled. And look at this. To specify an advanced option for this choice, press F8. If for whatever reason your keyboard doesn't have F8 or your keys aren't working, something like that, we've even got F8 built into here. Right? You can be lazy. You can just click F8 and you can view these advanced options.
Safe mode and everything. This
Exactly.
is awesome.
Yeah. So safe mode networking, blah blah blah. This is something that a lot of customers have asked for, is the last known good configuration.
Okay.
The ability to just have this here. So the fact that we can drop into this boot menu and get to that point,
okay,
that should please a lot of people.
Sure.
But let's just start Windows normally.
So this serial console that you're showing right now, is this just an Azure feature, or can any cloud provider do this?
So AWS actually does not have Serial Console.
Interesting.
So this is something that we have in Azure that we can allow people to troubleshoot their VMs, whereas someone using an EC2 instance might just have to delete it and recreate it.
Ouch,
So
painful.
saves a lot of time.
Awesome, awesome.
So final thing is I skipped over the non-maskable interrupt for Linux because I saved it for Windows.
Okay.
And all this is a command that is designed to crash your virtual machine. And how this is useful, you're like, why would you ever want to crash your virtual machine?
I have no problems crashing my machines, by the way, so I don't know why I need this, but sure, show me how this works.
So you can configure this to actually create a crash dump containing memory contents or whatnot when you crash this. So this is super useful, again, if you get stuck in a situation where you're doing some kernel level debugging and your VM is just not responsive. You can just send this NMI and crash the whole thing.
Wow. And then I get a dump of everything that I need to, so I can go back and diagnose exactly the state of the machine when I issued the crash.
Yeah, and if you look closely, you might recognize this message. It's a good old blue screen.
Exactly.
So this is the blue screen within the Serial Console that we have just triggered.
Wow. We are learning all about the Serial Console here on Azure Friday.